All righty. Hey, welcome. It's a crossover brought to you by California Academy of Sciences. Every visit supports the Academy's mission to regenerate the natural world. Learn more and reserve your ticket at calacademy.org.
Dibs has the hat, so he must have been in the sun. Yeah, what's up, baby? All right, let's just get this out the way.
Santa Clara.
How much? So you haven't heard the show at all?
No, I just listened the
Ted
whole way.
Lasso show.
Actually, tons.
Listened the whole way from
Tons,
Santa Clara. We just came from 49er
Did you
camp.
hear the
2 hours
Warren
in
So
the
Moon?
I'm about to embarrass myself.
Did you hear the
guys
Warren Moon
that?
interview?
Oh, you were about to have it as we arrived.
Yeah,
Perfect.
We
missed it.
arrived.
Yeah.
Right. Why?
Perfect.
What
Listen,
happened?
you said I could set it up. Okay, look how he's
Okay,
smart.
what happened?
So Warren Moon, my favorite quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
I know, and I love you and Shasky for giving back to the community, you two being mentor. I didn't have to even, I could have left you two out. I just wanted to throw you both. But you're mentor. So you teach radio, you teach class. I was a salesman. I had to sell education, okay?
Yeah, and
open-ended
vacuums,
question.
yeah.
Kirby's. So Warren was coming on. So when what you're about to hear turned into, I forgot I was on, I'm being real. I took it like I was having dinner with Warren
Okay.
instead of asking him a question. And somehow somebody recorded it. It's 88 seconds long. But it's not a question when you laugh. It's
Okay.
more me talking to myself. That's me a couple weeks ago.
Oh, my gosh. I'm like, is somebody getting feedback?
Dude.
What is that?
Nice.
Give it to him one more time, Evan.
Wow.
We don't know how.
That's literally.
I don't know how.
First of all, 88 seconds is Mark like getting ready to introduce me. So
Exactly.
maybe I'm
88
not
seconds
bad.
is nothing.
Maybe I'm okay, then.
Dude.
But
I
please,
think you're
you
fine.
can laugh and let it go.
Yeah.
But I was doing too much, and I basically tried to ask him 2 questions in one. It's a
Man.
minute 28.
And then
But-
tell him about your...
No.
Oh.
No. You
I
said
lost the bet.
you said you let him set it up.
I'm sorry.
So here we go. But
on,
now you got
Steiny.
me feeling a little better,
Sorry.
but this is bad.
Yeah, okay.
Guru's calling himself bad.
Man.
Michael Jackson bad.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's hear it. Takes even longer than 88
Well,
seconds.
forget it then.
Wow.
You
No,
know what?
started-
That just
started
really
with a-
wasn't supposed to be
Started
played.
with a long pause.
Yeah.
Wow.
They missed it, Steiny. I told on myself,
Relax.
but it was bad.
I think he's ready now.
I think he's ready. He's not ready.
No, he's not ready.
Oh, maybe this will.
I did too much, and I was a little kid. And I talked to Warren before, but
Sure.
I just had a moment, and it was, oh, God.
I'll say this. The whole bit about your questions being too long, I think is unfair.
Okay.
I know. I
That's
can't
me.
say the
That's
host.
me.
Okay.
That's
I
me.
love this
Well,
man.
can we get your
Yeah.
opinion after you hear the question? Here we are.
I got a family, I got a wife, kids, and, I need to put the phone down. I'm just on social media a little too much, and sometimes it gets to me. And I say that to say is, my partner and I were just talking about the tradition and the history of quarterbacks that get drafted where Trey Lance got drafted. And I got to tell you, Warren, Brock Purdy was incredible. Nobody saw Lance getting hurt, and he comes in. But I keep reading all these tea leaves and these stories and these prominent announcers talking about, Trey could get traded. They should trade Trey. And Warren, I'm a black man. I told my partner, and I wasn't ashamed of it. The other day, I felt like there was a race element in the sense that how can you move mountains like the Niners did and be so quick to get off of Trey Lance? Now, they didn't say that. They haven't done that, the organization. But the stuff that I was reading from fans and the stuff that I hear every day on our show, the energy was just a bit different. But can you speak to, you saw what the Niners did to get Trey Lance. Wouldn't it be too soon to not find out what Trey Lance is going to be? And don't you owe that to the organization? And before you answer, my partner was like, you know what? Maybe he ain't doing it in practice. I'm like, I don't care if he's not. We have to see it, the public, on the field, right? Wow.
What did Warren do next? Was he still there?
Yeah, he was there.
Okay.
I sent him a tweet.
What did he say?
I forget. I'm so cluster effed after they played
But
that
God.
question. But I love you for that because the record's 147. I won't say who it is, but that was an F. That was too much. I hit him with too much, but he answered the question.
Well, you know what the trick is? I find because, and I think
Dude, that
I've
was
said
like
this,
surgery.
Well, but I think I've said this before on the air. If there's one thing in our business that is at epidemic levels of bad, and I include myself in this.
Do you really?
Because we fall into it.
Oh, go ahead.
Is interviewing. Now, going on for a minute.
Before you
and a half.
continue, I got a 2-part question.
go ahead.
About
Go ahead, ask it, and I'll answer the second one, and I'll ignore the
he
first
and I
one.
have had this conversation about
Okay.
2-part questions. Warren, just a 2-part question. Then you
Second someone
ask-
says that, I'm like, I'm gone.
Never a
I'm gone.
two-parter. Okay.
Dude, the first part is like, go ahead and throw that up and throw it in the garbage because the second part's the only one he's going to
okay.
remember.
All right.
And so that's kind of what Mark's
Right.
talking about.
Well, but so what happens though is
Man.
the word conversational is a positive when it comes to interviewing.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And you're
so
good at
when
that.
you
You're
so
really
when
good
you
at that.
say you felt like I was sitting on the couch with Warren Moon, that's a good thing.
But I wasn't though.
Right. So
Okay.
what happens then is I think this is the way I teach
Yeah.
it. There's a little person in the back of our heads. And we have to, in interviewing, you got to ignore that person. Because that person is telling you that you want both the audience and your interview subject to know that you're credible. And you know what you're talking about. And in order to do that, we do the setup. So here's what's going on.
Well,
The 49ers
that was my
game, the
version.
Brock
Oh,
Purdy, the
God.
Trey Lance, and then this happened, and then because you feel like you need to tell people I'm credible enough to ask this question. When the trick is just ask a
Yeah.
question.
Wow.
Did the 49ers do Trey wrong?
That's all.
And
That
what-
would have been.
you know what I mean?
5
Right?
seconds.
Like you're
I ain't
here.
mad at you, Willard.
It's an insecurity thing that we all have. Like
Right.
you're here, so you're credible
And
enough
he's
to ask
there.
a question.
And to Evans, just a young kid, because I was laughing at myself. He was like, "Nah, Goo, it's almost like you asked him 2 questions at once.
Yeah.
about the race part, and then
three.
the
Yeah.
And then in the end,
three.
didn't ask him a question at
Yeah,
all.
right.
Well, that's
But he
the thing.
answered, though. He
Oh,
gave
He
us
knew
an
how
answer.
you felt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
Well,
pro.
no doubt.
Yeah. He's a pro. So you know, it's lucky that you have somebody who will like grab the baton and just
Right.
keep running.
Right. No, he did.
And what you really wanted to know was, is Trey Lance, as a black quarterback,
Yeah.
not getting the fair shake that he should have, that a white quarterback would get?
Yeah.
And that's because I think that's how you feel. And
But I
heard-
went down the road of trying to make it too much about how I feel about what I've been.
Right.
He didn't. Hey, my address is 4316 because it started out like that. I got a kid. I got a wife. I'm on social media. That was 30 seconds of it. Cut
Yeah.
that out. Right. Look at this.
I have a wife.
Oh, anyway, we had some fun.
No.
Do you
with
know
that.
what though?
Yeah.
Do you know what you want
Yeah.
to know one of the reasons why you work in this
Yeah.
industry is because
We're all ears.
No, because
no.
because you capture the idea of being the everyman. You capture
Totally.
You capture the
But
public.
that's who I am, though.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's why you are our Steph Curry.
So being like all,
please.
you hear
all
that?
Yeah.
Steiny, you hear that?
functionally
Yeah. I heard
it.
Buttoned up industry wise.
Yeah,
That's not-
because some
that's
that
not
have
you.
that throw it in people's face, and they're not talking
Man.
with them; they're talking at them or down at them.
Man of the people.
Okay. Speaking of which, God, I hate you. Got to go.
No.
But
Well, no.
it's what-
No.
Oh yeah.
Are you going to bring up what I think you're going to bring up?
JP?
Yeah. Why don't you wait 3
Oh,
more
okay.
minutes?
All right. Okay.
Because I don't want to be a part of that. I'm out of that.
Now,
one.
why would you say that?
Because it's tearing the staff apart. That's why.
You guys kill me.
What's
Nothing.
What's tearing the staff apart?
There should be
ahead,
nothing.
Goo.
That's
The Jordan
I
Poole
may
topic.
walk
Oh,
out.
Jordan Poole.
I may
but
walk
Dibs,
out at 2.
I
Yeah.
love this man.
2.5 minutes.
My best friends are my best friends because we could talk about any subject matter, and I may not agree
Say
with you
anything,
at all,
John Cusack.
but I learn. Never
In
this.
my
What could
life,
tear us
the
apart?
night he-
Close.
Yeah,
But
I
that
mean,
speaks to what's
No.
going on in his noggin, though, Willard. No, seriously. Tear us apart?
Yeah. No.
I mean,
This is. I don't get it, Steiny.
No,
Well, are
like-
you going to?
Oh, no, we're talking
If you're going to
now.
soft pedal the way you feel, then
No, you told me to
no,
hold
but
off
there's-
until you
No,
left.
go ahead. I'll
Oh,
just
okay.
walk
there's
out.
nothing-
You staying hard pedaling.
No,
Don't
just
walk
like-
out.
yeah.
Hey,
I
you're
was
listening
here
to
for a little
95.7 The Game, KGMZ
Oh, my
FM at
boy.
HD1 San Francisco.
Early legal.
An Odyssey station.
is.
Got that
that
out of the
was,
way.
that was
What's
barely
up?
legal, is what that
Here,
was.
how about this? How about you get your point out and then you leave and then we can just
This is an
pillory
album,
you.
barely.
Well,
You guys,
We can
boy.
crush you because I totally am at odds with your take about, Draymond's gonna go. Yeah,
say gotta
yeah.
go.
We'll get into that.
It's time. You got to break it apart. And Draymond's the first to go. Yeah. That's what I heard on my drive down to Santa Clara.
Is that fair?
Please defend yourself.
You just talked to me an hour ago about sticking up for each other a little better, and this is the way you're going to do it.
I didn't. That was Dibs. I
You
didn't
got
say
60 seconds?
Steiny is
I'm going to tell you
greatest,
something.
man.
Stick it up, dog.
Apparently, and I'm working on some things.
yeah.
It didn't, I'm working on
You're good, baby.
lowering the volume.
Yeah.
And so when I had heard it, I said, oh, okay, well,
we haven't started it. Okay.
Smoke didn't come out of my ears.
I didn't know what
There's
it
no
is. What is
I'm
it?
gonna. I was saving it
What
for
is
you, but now
it?
and it's nothing major. That's why.
I'm out.
Like, Steiny, that does hurt. Radio hurts me that you think it would tear the staff up. That was material. He was wrong.
Well,
That's
okay.
correct.
Listen,
listen. At different
Been torn apart.
times,
Right.
in our industry,
Never, Rob. I
people,
love my
no,
guys.
not never.
Yeah.
People take sports disagreements and take them personally.
How can you do that?
I don't know.
All right, man.
I don't know.
But that's a character flaw if you do that to whoever does that.
I mean,
This is the toy department of life.
People get hot.
This is the toy department of life.
Yeah.
Some people say I stole that. Did she can let me know?
You did.
Okay,
You
so
did.
Yeah.
You did.
wow,
right.
Evan. All right, here we go.
So
yeah,
set it up. I'm gonna move over to. I'm gonna
You
move
did
over to
steal
Steiny's
it, but
chair.
that's okay. It's not wrong, but yes.
Now,
Talk
what
to
if
me.
I say I stole it from somebody from another market?
Fine.
Okay,
Fine. I mean,
But
stolen.
had
is
you heard
stolen.
it before?
Yes. Yes. And I mean, I've stolen.
I couldn't wait to say it. Steiny was like, "That's not your original."
No, but it's factual, and no
Okay.
matter who had it first.
There we
and,
go. Okay.
If you want to talk about like 4 more years,
Okay.
any president who wants 4 more years, you weren't the first one to chant 4 more years, so
Right.
you stole that.
I
So
get you.
It's okay.
All right. So what are we talking about?
Okay.
What are we saying
what do
here,
we got?
Goo?
So yesterday
Man.
we had a great changeover like we do, and we left out of here, not with you, Dibs. You had said your opinion about Poole, and you thought he was at fault. He was more of I gotta say surmise it better than that. But you
Yeah,
felt
but
like
we're-
everything that came his way was his doing. And that's how we kind of left it. Steiny and I
Yeah.
left. Then we went and had our little show meeting. Go ahead.
It's a little. This is one of the things that's hard. It's hard to encapsulate everything in one sentence. Saying everything is his fault or everything that came his way was his doing. That's never what I really said. I've said from the beginning, like punching a teammate. Hard no. Like, no, I certainly don't want anyone to think that I ever said Jordan Poole deserved to get punched.
See, that's how I took
Oh,
that.
God, no.
Okay.
Oh, no. And Dibs will back me that I have never, ever, ever said that. I've never felt that.
Well, he said he had it coming to him. As far as I can, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but-
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, so that the people not in the back.
What I do feel is I feel that there is a lot in the chest of evidence that suggests that everybody with the Warriors is very frustrated with Jordan Poole. And that the punch many of us use as the baseline as if that's when the story started. And I don't understand punches to mean that. You don't punch another human being because they did something that you didn't like for the first time.
Okay.
This has all, to me, looked all year. And I've had conversations and whispers and things like that. I'm not going to tell you that I'm reporting something or that I was there. But I think that there was a build-up of behavior that a lot of his teammates didn't love.
Go ahead.
I think that feathers were ruffled. I think that the contract landing when it did, and no, it didn't land for the first time ever 2 days after the punch because there's a negotiation that builds up to it. He was the one yelling money time, and we're going to get it back after the championship. And I think that Jordan changed a little bit. I think he changed a little bit.
Okay.
And I think he wanted more playing time. He wanted a bigger role. And why wouldn't you? That's human. But it also doesn't work when you're joining a dynasty.
Right.
And so I think there's frustration there. And one person took it way too far.
Right. And
that's what I think.
Dibs, and I'm going to get your side too, because when I got in the car, I heard Bonte call in. So I can't never steal anybody's words, but he couldn't have said it better on how I felt. And Dibs, I just want to know from you, like Jordan, when the tweet went out and the way that it was worded, it felt like the chessboard or the whole organization is looking at Jordan Poole, and everybody within the Warriors they agree on one thing: Jordan Poole is wrong, or he's coming off cocky, this or that. But the way that it was said, I thought you were saying and some fans are, Mark, that the punch was deserving. And it's never okay to get hit at work.
Never
it just is not.
It's not.
Okay.
But before the punch, and this is Mark's point about how Jordan Poole was acting and playing.
Got you.
After the punch, the way Jordan Poole acted and played, and I would put the way he acted and played a lot on the organization. You didn't punish Draymond, and Steph and Clay didn't wrap their arms around Jordan Poole. What the organization did is they wrapped their arms around Draymond, and then Jordan Poole felt like he was ostracized. Jordan Poole felt like he was on his own, and so he played like he was on his own. And so are we to expect Jordan Poole to play in a different way? He has his bag, so he's not worried about like, oh, do I need to play for my supper or not? Shout out Supper, who's got vertigo. But, he's not worried about that. He's worried about, you know what? I'd love to win another championship, but I'm going to play the way I play because I'm already paid. And if these guys don't want to, like, have my back, which they didn't, by the way, Steph throws his mouthpiece. Clay gets mad. Draymond walks off in a play. The organization doesn't punish the guy who punched him in the face. What's he supposed to do?
And that's why I feel like it was a beautiful take, and I agree with that. Willard, you're not by yourself, and it's why I feel like Bonte, when he called to say, it feels like you're ignoring those facts. Am I here to tell you he wasn't Jordan Poole acting like some hotshot or even talking about what was going to be on his W-2s on his new contract to Draymond? But Draymond is an OG. He told us this after the fact. I was in a dark place before I came to the facility that day. I deal with Steiny on a daily basis, vice versa. You guys, there's dark stuff every day. I can't come in knowingly and take it out on you. But for Jordan Poole in a social media era where social media talks, these pictures and videos are everything. There's seasons and episodes, movie-like of words in one day, captured on phones and cameras. For him to be subject to not just getting humiliated in front of his teammates, what you talked about yesterday, if you remember, Willard, we got the stopwatch on my question. We put the stopwatch on people coming to Jordan Poole's rescue. I was driving home. I go, you know what? That's lightweight unfair, because if you did deem it as a fight, Jordan Poole was on the losing end of that. What are you really supposed to do? But for the organization that has this culture that I thought was on another level than the Miami Heat, an organization that is 4-time champs, I thought they would send a message just for the benefit and byproduct of Jordan Poole, his family. There are now, guys, I sent it yesterday on IG, these cartoons where Jordan Poole is getting hit by Draymond. I mean, this is a thing. So for the people saying there's verbiage that Jordan Poole could have said or a magic word or words to get that punch, and then have Bob Myers and Joe Lacob not suspend Draymond, but I can call Kevin Durant a couple years ago out of his name and get suspended. What are we doing here when we're watching this Jordan Poole fall down, look unconfident, and then the video in the playoffs, if you think the thing was fixed, the relationship, him just telling Draymond, get your paws off me. And I'm telling you, I got to give Draymond credit. I know I'm long-winded, because he looked like, boy, if we were at the park, I would have got with you, and Curry had to come chastise him. And I'm going to call your son, young Jude, who we broke bread with, you, him, and I, and I've been to the Super Bowl, my nephew. If that were your son and you had that connection to Jordan Poole, Willard, I do wonder if you would look at this a bit differently.
If
you
that
would
were my
look
son,
at like it's all
I think
whatever Jordan Poole was wrong with antics, he didn't put his hand on a damn person.
I think that you think that I think differently about the punch than I do.
I'm going to need you to slow that down.
I'm not talking like this is one of those things. I'm not going to get upset with the station for tweeting those words out because I said them. But when you don't have the context of the conversation, this is what ends up happening. And I know Dibs will back me up on this. There's not been one day on this station where I've ever defended the punch. I'm not really talking about the punch anymore. I'm talking about, in my opinion, the larger picture of what leads to all of the things that have happened. From walking off the court to throwing mouthpieces to throwing hands up the air to Steve Kerr doing Draymond's podcast and saying what he said.
Right.
So when the organization doesn't punish Draymond,
oh my goodness,
and you all get mad at them for that, I have no issue with you being mad at you. Have a point. But let's go further and examine why they didn't do that.
Right.
Why do you think they didn't do that?
And Guru, we talked yesterday.
And my opinion is because they got a problem with Jordan Poole.
Sure they do. And this is where yesterday, Guru, we talked about the real two timelines.
Okay,
and
the real one.
The two timelines are before the punch and after the punch as it pertains to Jordan Poole.
Okay.
So pre-punch, Jordan Poole, yes, he was a problem. He got a bag. He was a champion, and he was going to get his bag, and he was starting to feel himself. And Klay Thompson in Japan said,
I remember that.
Yeah,
okay.
All the talk about Jordan Poole, and then Jordan Poole gets punched in the face by Draymond Green. Not only punched in the face, but knocked out, and nobody rushes to Jordan Poole's defense. Nobody squared up on Draymond Green. Nobody, really broke it up. Draymond punched him and either tried to hit him again or hold him up. And after that,
I think it was hold him up. Yeah.
Whatever. The video stops. And all we know from then on is that Draymond was not punished. So for me, timeline number 2 starts then. So when you look at Jordan Poole from that point forward,
go ahead,
and this is where Mark and I have a debate.
Yeah.
Because, I think that Jordan Poole did just about everything he should have done from that point forward. He played in every game. He played in 95 of 95 games. And he played the way that Jordan Poole plays. Jordan Poole is not a run off 2 screens, catch and shoot guy. He's a give me the ball and watch me cook player. So the fact that they're trying to get him to play some way that he doesn't want to play, and he already has this bag, I think that it's at cross purposes in terms of who Jordan Poole really is and who they want Jordan Poole to be.
Now, I'm not mad at that, and Willard, I'm going to get right back to you, but are we forgetting the metamorphosis that he showed the world, Jordan Poole, with this play in this Warrior system last year to get the back?
That's timeline 1. Okay. Again, I'm talking 2 timelines.
Well, okay, but to your point of fit and his, he fit in perfectly last year.
Yes, but at the same time,
the building going
he was
crazy
unplayable in the NBA Finals.
Last
year, they didn't play him. And they didn't play him because he can't defend and because he's dribble, like you like to say.
So there's no part of you, Dibs, and I'm shooting my own argument in the foot, but that's okay because we're just talking.
We are.
There's no part of you that thinks he got that contract because of the punch and the fact that they were like, you know what? We didn't do you a solid. It looks bad. You know what? Here's your chicken. I could be wrong, but now that everything is revealing itself, that podcast, I didn't like that. Who am I? It's just my opinion. I'm seeing stuff come out now and show it and rear its head. Andre Iguodala, you guys didn't ask about him. Bob Myers told Steiny and I on more than one occasion he was the Samuel Jackson, the negotiator. If anything ever popped off among the players, he was the go-to guy. And he couldn't bring or rectify and fix what we saw. So I say to you, that contract was almost pity money.
Well, to me, the contract, and Mark and I have talked about this, to me, the contract was, we're going to give you this contract now and see if you can make this work. If not, it's much more tradable when he has that big bag.
I agree with that.
Than it is, because Mark said it yesterday. And Mark, and I
hate can't play here anymore.
Him when Mark Willard is right, because then he's going to nod his beautiful head, and the ego is going to grow even more. And, it's going to be 7 more minutes.
I feel better about my 128.
Dude, it's going to be, trust me.
You and Willard, I love you.
Dude, I dream about a partner only doing 1:28.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
Well, this was a question.
That's it. All you got is 88 seconds?
This guy will, you want to talk about give me the ball with 2 seconds on the shot clock. Yeah. I think the contract was given to him knowing that, okay, A, it works out and he's worth every penny, or B, now it's more tradable than ever.
Because of the punch.
And that's a Mark take.
No,
because Vontae hit that on the nail on the head when it sounded, Willard, like you guys were putting everything that's wrong with the Warriors. You're letting people get a pass, and you're putting it at the doorstep of Jordan Poole. That's the genesis of how I feel from Warrior fans.
Okay, now
and when I read that text,
that's different, and I think that's a lot closer to how I feel. Now, if we're going to say this is the other thing, everything that's wrong with the Warriors is Jordan Poole's fault. How much is actually wrong? It's not like they're that far off. They won a title 11 months ago, and this year they went to Game 6 of the second round, and I think can still compete next year.
Well, you got your star player saying, giving a speech that wasn't supposed to be authored by him.
Right.
He had to tell Dre. I don't know if Dre really knew why he wasn't giving the speech, but he had to go to this point. I got to play this card, Willard.
This is pretty simple.
Some of y'all ain't got to get on the bus. That wasn't just Jordan Poole. There were more. I'm going to call them gremlins.
You sure?
There were more than just Jordan Poole.
Kuminga.
I saw Kuminga pouting, and
maybe a little Jermichael Green, and quite frankly, who cares?
And there you go.
Okay. So, yes, the Warriors didn't get along last year. And I think it was the majority of them not liking the way Jordan and Jonathan were behaving. I don't think that they like the way that I don't think that they like their ego growing.
Right.
I don't think that they like that they were complaining about the lack of minutes. Steve Kerr is on Draymond. This is why this conversation started.
It was fascinating.
He's on Jordan Poole's podcast.
Draymond's podcast.
I'm sorry. He's on Draymond's podcast talking about the Heat role players not complaining about playing time. Nobody cares about that. They're all together for a common goal. That tells me the Warriors are not together for a common goal. Why on earth would I look at the three people who have done this for a decade and know exactly how to do it? Why on earth would it be on them? Now, that has nothing to do with the punch. The Warrior culture, in my opinion, the fly in the ointment is the fact that some of their young players won't get on the bus. They won't get on the bus. That's my opinion.
Okay, no, I'm not mad at you.
That's my opinion.
Shout out Ozzie Davis. Get on the bus.
You know what I mean?
Great movie. Great movie.
It's got
so whose
nothing to do
job
with
is
the
to
punch.
get? I'm asking because Steiny was like, "Can you run it back?" And I keep going to this, and I hate it, guys. I'm gonna have a Warrior conversation without mentioning the punch, but just for this point. How do you get them on the bus or they can't coexist? I don't think Poole and Draymond Green can coexist. And if I were Daryl Lacob, I wouldn't want them to because I've seen a whole season go by to where I understand sometimes there's just enough damage to where you have to move on.
It might be there, but you're not giving Jordan away for pennies on the dollar.
No, I get that.
And
so I would tell Dre,
his value
you
is
giving
down.
Dre 3? I'm asking both of you. Honestly, are you giving Dre 3 for 90?
No. 3 for 75.
I mean, whatever the number is, that's up to Joe. I'm giving Dre 3.
You are giving him 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. And this is where
Absolutely.
I wish Steiny could have stuck around. And I know he's in the car right now, shaking his head, getting ready to get on the Bay Bridge. But you absolutely.
Steiny, no practice swings. You know what to do.
Absolutely give Draymond the 3 years because Steph Curry wants that. And that's the way this goes. And if Steph doesn't want to play with Jordan Poole, and we don't know that, but we know that, and I've said this 3 months ago, that I don't think that Draymond and Jordan Poole will be on the team together. So if that's the case and you want to give Draymond 3, you trade Jordan, you trade Kuminga, you trade the pick, you do whatever you can to bring in grown men to play with these veterans right now.
Now, those are great points, Willard, and I'll just say, why did the front office, I don't know if it was Bob, Joe, Steve, and I ask Steiny this every day we get to this. If you're going to tell me Curry, which he should have all the input in the world, as much as LeBron James, or everywhere he goes, has that much gravitas, why were they drafted? Because I can interest you in a podcast with Iggy and Steph both saying, why did the organization give us these young for they don't know how hard it is to win a championship. You could have traded the Wiseman pick for a ready-made. That name I don't know. So if Steph wanted to go that route / Iggy, who ignored that, Dibs? And that has me wondering, does Steph have that much clout to tell Joe to scratch that check? Because now with Bob leaving, I asked Steiny this today, with Bob leaving, I wonder if Joe, that was the Band-Aid ripped off. Joe didn't want him to leave, but now that Bob left in the fashion that he left, is Bob now a killer that Steiny says he is, to where, you know what, Dre? I don't think that third year of that, it ain't feasible. We're going a different direction. I wonder how much of that has shook Lake up to where now he's like, you know what? I ain't giving the Brandon Crawford. I ain't giving the Brandon Bell contract. Clay, you better come in here and talk about subtraction.
There's too many people who have already been in public at a high level with the Warriors that have talked about a Draymond Green extension. Remember, The Athletic reported it an hour after the Warriors were eliminated. Steve has talked about it in front of a microphone. Draymond has talked about it in front of a microphone. I think it's going to happen. Now, the subject that is interesting with everybody talking about how whenever something went down, it was Bob and Andre who fixed it. Well, who's gone this year? Wow, Bob and Andre. So this whole thing needs to get reshuffled, and maybe that does mean that they can't fix it, and Jordan does need to be traded. That's entirely possible. Only Jordan can answer that. But when you go back to Logan Murdoch's article, this is one thing that, and I interpret it different than many.
Okay.
When people point to the fact that Steph stood up in that room and pointed over at Jordan's locker room and went, that young guy right there, that's the key. So many people, other people, and maybe you're right, translated that as Steph saying,
I got his back.
That man's our future. He's got that ability.
That's how I took it?
I took it as, we got to wait and see if he gets on the bus or not. Because right now,
I didn't look at it.
Because right now he's not, and it killed us this year. So when you hear me talk and you think I'm blaming him for everything, you can translate it that way if you want. Yes, my name on it, Mark Willard. Yeah. Problem number one this year, having nothing to do with the punch, from top to bottom within the organization. Not the only problem, not all the blame. Problem one, Jordan Poole.
Yeah, see that to me, problem one is Draymond Green because of the punch, and this is where he and I have had this debate. Yeah. Because that's what I'm more willing to blame the veterans than a 23-year-old who is a bench player. You're asking him to be the OG, and so this is where Mark and I will continue to debate this point. Because to me, the bigger problem was Draymond. He played great on the floor, sure. Clay was up, Clay was down, Clay was up again, and Clay was really down.
No doubt.
When you needed Clay to be up. Steph was fine as a player, but why didn't you guys have the ability to bring Jordan Poole back in after what happened? Because Jordan Poole got punched, and then Jordan Poole went sideways. Jordan Poole went rogue.
He got humiliated.
Jordan Poole was
That's a good
awful.
point.
It's a great point.
And
it's the truth, Mark.
Right.
It's the truth that you want to.
These are facts.
You want to kind of move past it.
Those are facts.
A lot of people want to kind of, it happened. No,
no one's brushing it under the rug. The point is again, while that's a good point, it also sort of points to that being the first day of the story. And I just don't believe that.
So it's the first day of the second timeline.
Right. So
two timelines.
So did it rob the veterans' ability to bring Jordan along? Maybe. But what happened before that? And when I say that, people go, oh, you blame Jordan for the punch. No. Why wasn't Jordan on the bus yet? Why were the players so frustrated with Jordan?
Mark, do we really have actual facts of pre-punch where this kid was really alienating his teammates to where, because I don't believe now here I goes, don't forget the punch. Forget the punch. But he wouldn't have got the content. They did the calculator of, so do you think Steph, Dre, and Clay were like, when they got it? Okay, gotcha.
It's business. You can't let that guy be a restricted free agent. You lose your power. He's a restricted free agent this year if you don't sign him to a deal. And so now, at that moment, they're thinking he's going to get even better. He's going to average 22 a game.
Yeah.
Then he's going to be a restricted free agent, and now someone else is going to sign him.
He looked like a whole different player.
A max. Yeah. And then we either have to match it, which we don't want to do, or we got to let him go and get nothing for him. They're simply holding on to their asset.
Right.
That's all they were doing. They were covering their asset.
So he's going to be moved. I don't think they can. If you're right, you guys are right, and Dre's here.
I don't know if
Jordan
they can.
Poole,
depends on.
Gotta go.
But
he's gotta go.
Want it? But I wouldn't want them to.
I want them to trade him.
I would like. But
you can't try to fix it because you had a season.
No,
to.
you can't fix
but there has to be a trade. But there has to be a trade.
I got you.
Someone's got to play with you.
Yeah. Or you could decide that you ain't going the Dre route. And I believe Joe Lacob.
Yeah.
Like those are questions are being asked.
You can
it would be tough.
I don't think they'll do that.
If they don't go the Dre route, then Steve Kerr is gone after a year. That's my take. After Steve Kerr goes on Draymond's podcast and he basically talks about without talking about his own young players, right?
And compared them to Miami.
Right. So if all this goes down and Draymond I'm not going to opt in because I'm not getting a deal. I'm going to go to LA. Then Steve, in his final year, he won't resign. And then Clay's going to bow out, and now you're left with Steph and fill in the blank head coach.
And how good would it be for business to have Steve Kerr, who Steiny called Pat Riley a Don the other day? I love it because he's worthy of it, but I'm going to call Kerr a Don here. How could you even go down that road or even think about driving down that road unless Steve is telling people, oh, I got young kids, I need to be with my family, which I don't think you guys had him on. He said, hey, I'm ready. Let's go.
He doesn't want to go anywhere.
Right.
And
so why would Joe Lacob even risk having Steve come in a lame duck year? A coach of that magnitude, this should get done before the tip of game one for the Warriors.
Maybe. And
but why would it be maybe, Mark, if everything was on point?
Because Draymond's a maybe and Clay is still a maybe.
It might just not be. It's not his turn. It's not his time yet. You're
It's
not
not
going to
his
do
turn,
that.
yeah,
You're not
good
going to do
call.
that in June. And by the way, in terms of, and I remember this, right? The Monty Williams contract comes out. Oh gosh, are the Warriors going to pay?
Right.
The Warriors could pay Steve $100 million a year. It has nothing to do with the cap. I
Sorry,
don't
Joe.
care.
Nothing.
I do not care. As a fan,
Joe cares.
I know he does.
At $100 million.
So whatever the hell he wants to pay. Like all I care about as a Warrior fan is would I rather Steve is or is not the coach? I'll say is. You can pay him whatever you want. I do not care. With what it costs for us to go down there, give him $1 billion. I do not care.
Right.
I'd rather he's the coach. So that's my only opinion on that. But as far as the timing of the whole thing, yeah, there's like other things that do need to be figured out first.
Exactly.
And Steve, it's almost like he's playing this game right now. How many different ways can he say the same thing? He tells us, I was on the Last Dance team. This ain't it. Steph, Clay, and Dre have years left. I want to be here for years. Now I'm going to go on Draymond's podcast. Boy, those young guys on the bench from Miami, they all work for the same goal. Man, that's why they're in the championship round and we're not. He's saying the same thing and picking 5 different ways to say it.
Right.
He wants to be here. Right. He wants Steph.
He wants
Clay,
to win.
And Draymond here.
Right. Exactly.
Remember when he said, is Draymond to be on the team or you want to win? Because if you want to win, then Draymond's got to be on the team.
Yeah.
He has said this like 8 different ways in the last 2 months. We know exactly what he wants. He wants his core, and he wants them to still be the core.
Okay, and I asked Steiny this. I'll ask you two before I get out of here. Steiny goes, it's called negotiations.
Yeah.
And I know Bob's working to June 30th, but how soon do you get that? I mean, Dunleavy, you want to do it or not? Now, I don't know what's going on. Like, I want to find out who the Warriors should want to know who their GM is. And Steiny was like, slow down. But I'm like, okay, it's not on fire, but I feel like, okay, Joe, it's not hard to, if you know and you had now he wasn't running them.
Though,
they
don't you
know.
think?
Have you heard any other person?
But Steiny was talking money. What if Mike Dunleavy, what if they said, you know what, we're not giving you a raise, it's your job. Like,
he's
get it done. It looks good for business to get the successor to Bob Myers.
Classic situation that we often all do in the media, which is tell us.
All right.
Tell us.
I'll leave on that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I think they know.
You owe me a damn thing.
They know, and they're just not telling us yet. And that's their timeline. That's the third timeline.
All right, no, I'll stay to 27.
Thank you for staying, bud. I would talk to you all day.
Hey, swing good, Steiny. Yeah,
exactly. All right, have a good afternoon, Go. Willard and Dibs is coming up next. Sponsored by Cars.com.